It's been said that better questions lead us naturally to better answers, and that it's in not knowing that we open the doorway to knowing. I'm Scott Lennox, and you're listening to The Beautiful Question, a consideration of things that truly matter in a complex world. Have you ever wandered away from yourself and couldn't find the clear path that would lead you back? Join me this week as I share a beautiful story about exactly that. Stay with me as we meet a luminous girl named Lucia. Among my favorite stories is one I heard so long ago I can't remember where or from whom I first heard it. It's a story about determination, about listening deeply, and about finding our way home even when we don't know how to get there. In Europe, more than 100 years ago, it was not uncommon for people who traveled in caravans to kidnap children and carry them away. Because they were so young and because they were so far from home, the children had no choice but to do what they were told. Their lives depended on it. One such girl was a little girl named Lucia. Since she refused to tell her captors her real name, they called her Sabina. No more than 2 or 3 years old when she was stolen, Lucia was helpless to defend herself or run away. Where would she go? Afraid of what might happen if she didn't do what she was told, she was obedient, but kept to herself as much as she could. In every quiet moment, she dreamt of her family and of her home in a little town that was now so very far away. As she grew older, she was allowed to sleep out in the open or beneath one of the wagons, which, for her own reasons, was something she liked very much. Quite clever for her age, Lucia had devised a remarkable plan that she carried out day after day and night after night with the greatest stealth. She had stolen a small, sharp knife, which she kept hidden between 2 boards under the wagon. At night, while everyone else was asleep, she would take out the knife and patiently carve a hollow place in the top of the wide wooden axle under which she slept. To keep herself from being discovered, she carefully disposed of the wood chips or anything else that would betray what she was doing. Once the opening was large enough and deep enough, she put her handkerchief into it and set a rock on top of it to keep it in place. Folded inside the handkerchief were a few coins she had kept her captors from discovering. One night, as she was falling asleep, she made herself a promise. "When I have saved enough money," she whispered in the dark, "I will steal away. I'll leave these horrible people, and I will find my own town and my own family." But where was home? And how would she know it if she found it? For that matter, how would she know her family, and how would they know her? She was no longer the cherubic little child she had been when she was kidnapped. Tall and slender at 12 years old, who would recognize her now that so much time had passed? But Lucia refused to allow ideas like that to stop her. The only thing that mattered was finding her way home, no matter what she had to do, and no matter how long it took. On a bitterly cold winter night, when there was no moon to give her away, she quietly lifted the handkerchief full of coins from its hiding place above the axle and made her way into the dense woods, running until she finally collapsed from exhaustion, just as the sun was coming up. When she woke, hungry and shivering from the cold, she made herself 2 more promises. She would never steal or lie again, and she would find her way home to her family if it was the last thing she did. As you can imagine, Lucia's journey was a long and sometimes dangerous one. Along the way there were thieves. Along the way there were those who wanted to harm her. Along the way there were mountains and rivers to cross, but she would not be thwarted. Keeping her little knife at her side, she slept wherever she could find shelter, and often went without eating. But, true to her promise, she refused to lose hope or give up. Each time she came to a new town or village, she would find honest work to do, asking the same question of everyone she met. "Do you know of a family whose young daughter was kidnapped years ago by the wanderers?" Each time she was told no, she would gather her things and move on. Years passed, But she remained undaunted and kept her promises, working to earn her own way, always telling the truth, and refusing to give up on finding home wherever home might be. As it happened, she was washing her face and hands in the fountain at the center of a large town late one Sunday morning, just as a nearby church service was ending. As the bells began their tolling, the sound they made swept through her and a shiver ran up her spine. Trembling, her heart racing, she began to weep. "I know this sound," she said. "These are the bells of my church, the church my mother and father took me to. This is my town." In a frenzy, she began knocking on doors, going from one to the next, asking whoever opened it if they knew a family that had lost a young child 15 years earlier. After more than an hour of this, and being told no at every house, a woman opened the door and gasped as soon as she looked into Lucia's face. "I know your eyes," the woman said. "You could only be my sister's missing daughter, Lucia. How can this be possible?" Both of them in tears, the woman grabbed Lucia's hand, and the two of them ran through the town to a little house where the woman began frantically pounding on the heavy wooden door. When it swung open, Lucia was looking into a pair of eyes that looked exactly like her own. "Mama?" she cried. After all her struggles and years of tirelessly searching, I'm sure I needn't tell you of the joyful tears that filled that small house that day so very long ago. For the rest of her life, whenever the bells rang, Lucia would stop whatever she was doing and say a prayer of thanks. Had she not heard them that Sunday morning by the fountain, she might have moved on again and never found home at all. But she did hear them, and the sound they made resonated so strongly in her that they awakened a memory she had kept hidden in the deepest place in her heart. As she felt that resonance, she knew without a doubt that she was finally home. Because so many things can be found in this sweet story, this week I offer 4 beautiful questions. I hope you'll ponder them and find them useful. 1. By what knowing, what inner resonance can you tell that you are or are not where you need to be? 2. When you stop to listen to yourself, really listen, what is it that tells you that you've strayed from the true home within yourself? 3. Knowing that you possess the same kind of courage and strength of purpose that Lucia had, what are you willing to do to come back to yourself? As Derek Walcott has written in his poem, Love After Love, to lovingly greet yourself and welcome yourself at your own door. And finally, question 4. When you arrive there, how will you know it beyond question or doubt? Coming home to ourselves is not only possible, but it's completely available in every moment we're alive. I look forward to you sharing your thoughts about your own homecoming with me. As I say each week, my light with your light. Thank you once again for listening. My goal is for each of us to live better lives and create better possibilities for ourselves, for one another, for the world, and for our beautiful planet home. I always look forward to your comments and your feedback. You can also be inspired by visiting my good friends at Cosmos Journal. That's KOSMOS Journal. Their mission is to inform, inspire, and engage global transformation in harmony with all life. You can easily find them online at cosmosjournal.org. Though we're still under construction, you can now find my free podcasts and guided relaxation audios on the new Beautiful Question website at thebeautifulquestion.com. That's all one word. When the site is completed, you'll also be able to read the transcripts of these podcasts and find a number of links to other offerings to challenge and inspire you. There'll also be a library in which you can quickly find podcasts arranged by topics. I know you're going to like how easy the site will be to navigate. If you find these podcasts useful or encouraging, don't hesitate to share them or tell others about them. I'm Scott Lennox, and this has been The Beautiful Question. The Beautiful Question is a One-Like production, written, produced, and engineered by Scott Lennox at Heart Rock Studios in Fort Worth, Texas, as a way of paying forward to life, being fully present, becoming better engaged with things that truly matter in a complex world, and committing to a healthier future for all of us.